амбасадорот на Израел, господинот Дан Оријан, во утрински брифинг. И само да напоменам дека ќе биде малку мешано, малку македонски, малку англиски, но верувам дека на крај сите ќе ги добиеме оние информации кои што не интересираат. Mr. Ambassador, thank you for the time and thank you for having you here in morning briefing. I hope you're well.
It's a pleasure for me to be with you again.
Thank you. It's 78 years now from the deportation of the Jews in the World War II. Since you're a non-residential ambassador in the country, what will happen today? How are these days? What are the events, the ceremonies that you and the partners from Macedonia created for these days?
Okay, there are many events, but I think most special one for us will happen in about an hour, when the president of North Macedonia, Spandarovsky, will be planting a tree in a Zoom special connection, when we will be planting a tree in his name here in Jerusalem, and he will be planting in his garden in Skopje. I hope that it didn't have too much snow and it will be possible to be done properly. We usually march on that day in Bitula in memory of the Jews with many partners in Macedonia. This time we cannot march, so we are doing something else. We are planting in their memory.
Who is doing this event?
So we have
since you're in Israel.
We have partners. Yes, in Israel we have amazing partnership. We have organizations, we have mayors, we have heads of the JNF, the National Fund, which is the biggest organization that is planting trees in Israel. And of course, we have partners for Ministry of Foreign Affairs, from many organizations all over. And of course, we have people who are born and raised in Macedonia, a few, and they created here a big community together with members from the Jewish community there. We have Acta Non Verba organization from Macedonia, which is working very closely, and with many organizations. Arham in Bitula, actually, Mayor of Bitula, Natasha, will be planting with us later today with all the ambassadors of the region. Actually, this time we also have the head of mission of Kosovo for the first time after we established diplomatic relations with them.
What I would like to ask, what I would like to ask you more, it's 78 years now from a tragic event in the world history. What would you say that we've learned from it? Have we become better people?
Well, I'm not sure. This is really, it's a philosophical question. I would say that we are doing our best, and I think part of what we are doing, all the events, the competition on innovation on that, the exhibitions, the marches, all that is in order that people will know what happened, which is, I think, the best way to educate, know what happened, and hope it will not happen again. You see atrocities in many places in the world, also in our region, and when you see that, you see very little hope. But just like now with the corona, every such difficult challenge should bring us to be able to look for new solutions and see it as an opportunity. And this is what we are trying to do in Israel. And we are very happy with this partnership with the Macedonians. I think a lot more can be done, but we are already doing quite a lot.
Yeah.
So in this respect, I'm not sure we are better. Yes.
What do we do in our relations between Israel and Macedonia, not only in times of the pandemic, but also in this political dialogue that we have between the countries?
Well, basically what we are trying to do is to build special bond between the countries. There are very good bilateral relations. You have a very active embassy here. They will take part very soon now in the event from the Israeli side in Jerusalem with the Macedonians. We are working to get Israeli companies. We are working on pre-acceleration. Many of our partners are very much interested in pushing forward partnership in innovation. I'm trying to bring the best speakers from Israel to speak about innovation, to speak about what Israel is doing, both in times of pandemic and not in times of pandemic. And of course, culture, because we are big believers in bridges in culture. Actually, I have quite a few artists waiting for everything to open. And then they will, of course, come to Macedonia, both to perform, to present Israeli books, which were translated to Macedonians, and many more projects we have, as we say, and just waiting for the, or at least
Mr. Ambassador, the world fights, not only Israel, not only Macedonia, the world fights with something that it's unknown, it's a world pandemic. But Israel is having in mind all the information that comes from the country. Israel is one of the countries that is, let's say, successful in the vaccination of its people. Can you give us an insight of how you combat the pandemic?
Well, first of all, as I said, we're trying to look at it as a big challenge. And I think when you change the mode of thinking, the first thing Israel is doing is vaccinating with huge numbers. We have connected to all those who could sell us vaccinations as fast as we could. Prime Minister personally did a lot in this field. And today we already have more than 5 million people vaccinated on the first round. You know, you need 2 rounds. And the second round is more than 4 million people. So this is, I think, the key for opening everything in Israel. In the process, many companies, even companies dealing in the industries of security, are working to find solutions. It's from the solutions of detecting and creating special labs, serological labs and others, and getting quick tests so you can test. A lot of effort is done in education and teaching and explaining. This has been, I think, the most important part. At the same time, until a few days ago, I couldn't even go out and have a cup of coffee in a coffee shop. Everything was closed, at least most was closed. And we are doing it very gradually, and hopefully in the coming days, we will really have everything open, again, with some small limitations. But right now, it seems like we are breaking through. After having more than 5 million people vaccinated, all the education system is back on track. And we are trying, whenever we see a place with a special problem, to take care specifically with this region and take care of the people there. So this is part of this effort.
Ambassador Oriјan, have you had any collaboration with Macedonian authorities about the vaccination process, about vaccines?
Well, I had talks with the foreign minister and with some high officials, telling them about what we are doing, sharing with them some information, the possibility of more assistance. Now it's a very delicate, all the issue of purchasing and vaccination also created a big issue here in Israel. Israel gave some small amounts of vaccinations, mostly for people of health in a few countries. We had a longer list, and I'll tell you, it's the secret between us that North Macedonia was also on this list. But unfortunately, for legal reasons, it stopped. And hopefully we will be able to resume. But these are small quantities. The big challenge is to make the big doses quickly, to vaccinate the people and move forward. I'm trying to assist as much as I can. It's, as you know, most of it is not in our hands, but we are trying to assist also in this good partnership with North Macedonia. And we offered quite a few times the experts, webinars, and guidance and telling what we are doing. You have Macedonian experts from the ministry participating in our webinar meetings, and actually one of the leading Israeli companies in the fields of health, which visited Macedonia, is in cooperation with the ministry, is trying specifically to assist with getting more vaccinations. Hopefully we will succeed, and hopefully we'll get soon vaccinations, because, I really want to come and visit again. Non-resident ambassador not staying there is, much harder.
Yeah. My last question is, since you said it yourself, you're a non-residential ambassador.
Yeah.
When can we expect an embassy of the Israel country in Macedonia?
Well, if it was up to me, it would have happened a long time ago. My recommendations are very, very clear. After 6 years of being a non-resident ambassador, and soon I will be writing, a document summing up my service in North Macedonia. So it will all be there, saying again, we need an embassy in Skopje. I really hope it will happen. But much more important is to have wide cooperation, and I think we are doing the right things in this respect, and we can do a lot more. So I really hope that we will get more funds, and we can do much more to have a great relations. And these, unfortunately, the reasons why we are still not open is that we got so many new countries, especially in the Middle East, including Muslim countries, that we just started new connections. And we opened, an office in Abu Dhabi. We have new relations with Morocco, with Bahrain, with Sudan, even with Bhutan. And of course, I mentioned before Kosovo, which hopefully will open an embassy in Jerusalem very soon. So the ministry has, I would say, a lot of expenses. I really hope that we will find the place, because there should be this place for an Israeli embassy in Skopje as well. But I don't see it in the coming time, but I'm sure it will happen. I hope we will have good reasoning for that economically, with big successes immediately after the corona in our partnership.
Mr. Ambassador, there's so much topics, there's so much questions that we can talk about, but hopefully that will happen soon rather than later, and especially here in the studio of Morning Briefing. Thank you very much for this time.
Thank you, and we appreciate the efforts the Macedonian people and government is doing to commemorate, especially today, the Jewish past.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Почитувани, како што имавте прилика да го слушнете, амбасадорот на Израел, господинот Дан Оријан, кој што е нерезидентен амбасадор во државата, одговарајќи на неколку прашања на утрински брифинг директно од Израел преку Zoom платформата. Во Битола денеска ќе се одбележуваат 78 години од депортацијата на евреите преку марш, кој што ќе го, всушност преку засадување на цвеќиња, бидејќи марширањето во моментов е невозможно со оглед на рестриктивните мерки и пандемијата, преку организации и партнери на Израел со представници од локалните власти, како што е градоначалничката на Битола, и представници, како што рече и самиот амбасадорот Косово. Во однос на тоа што научивме од оној тажен ден, на депортација, нели, која што се случуваше за време на Втората светска војна, амбасадорот вели дека не сме сигурни колку станавме подобри луѓе и всушност на сите проблеми ние треба да гледаме како шанса за токму тоа да се подобруваме и да бараме нови решенија. Во однос на билатералните односи помеѓу Израел и Македонија, амбасадорот вели дека се уште се на погорен план се подобруваат односите, меѓутоа се очекува завршување на рестриктивните мерки и пандемијата за тоа да се прави директно, како што рече самиот, неколку предавачи, уметници од Израел чекаат да дојдат во Македонија, пред се да имаат културолошки размени со нашите граѓани. Во однос на вакцинацијата и она што Израел го прави во моментов во борбата против пандемијата, тој е задоволен од начинот на кој што тие се справуваат. Вели преку 5 милиони граѓани веќе се вакцинирани со првата доза, а 4 милиони со втората доза. Всушност, вели, се враќа системот, функционираат школите, се враќа некако, вели, ја победуваме пандемијата, кога се, нели, е во прашање Израел, И во однос на тоа, кога може да се очекува амбасада на Израел во Македонија, самиот амбасадор Оријан напоменува дека тоа би требало да се случи што побрзо, меѓутоа многу поважно е развивањето на соработката помеѓу двете држави. Од позиција на држава со многу поголем капитал, секако дека овие прашања, овие одговори соодветствуваат и во начинот на кој што Израел се бори со пандемијата. И да не заборавам уште еден важен разговор за тоа, одговор за тоа дали разговарале со македонските власти за да добиеме вакцини од нивна страна. Амбасадорот вели Македонија пред се била на листа на држави на кои што мали дози на вакцини, не многу големи, ги нудат кон другите држави со оглед на капацитетите кои што ги имаат тие. Меѓутоа не стигнале таквите вакцини, а во моментов се нудат само експертски решенија за како Израел, така и Македонија да се справи со пандемијата. Тоа е она што го слушнавме од амбасадорот на Израел.